Well, greetings. Good afternoon to you. It's Friday. It's payday.
What could possibly be wrong?
Nothing. All is right and well, right? Very nice.
Absolutely. Happy Friday, John.
Thank you. Happy
Christy,
Friday.
happy Friday.
Happy Friday, everybody. Your weekend plans?
My weekend stretches out in front of me.
What do you mean? Nothing?
I have nothing planned. I have a lot planned Sunday. I have nothing planned tomorrow.
How rare is that?
It's so
There's
rare.
a day, nothing.
It's so rare that I'm like squeaking with delight.
Will you sleep in?
I will sleep in. I don't know how late I'll be able to sleep in, but I'll sleep in, John.
Yeah, of course.
And
What's sleeping in? Sorry. Sleeping in, is it 8, 9, 10, 11, noon?
So sleeping in would be 7 o'clock.
7
now
o'clock?
Now wait.
It's not sleeping in.
Now wait. But if I lay there and give it time,
Yeah.
I could stretch it to 8:30.
Okay, 8:30 I would say sleeping in.
Yeah. I think, and I could be committed tomorrow to do that. But the problem is when you wake up at 7 and then the mind starts going. You know what I have to do? I
Don't
didn't
do that. You got nothing.
What do you mean don't do that?
Well,
I do that all the time. I do that every
It's Saturday.
But don't you do that?
Yeah. But wouldn't it be nice? Remember, did you ever sleep in like, when you were a kid, noon? I had to navigate
Listen,
that.
I'd sleep like it was my job.
No, well, that wasn't allowed in our house.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
well, I certainly did.
One of those
when I
rare
was
times you'd come down and there'd be like these eyeballs of shame looking at you like, whoa, the world's moving on, my friend. Okay? 8:30. Christy, sleeping in?
I'm going to try. I like to sleep until like 10.
10.
Oh yeah, if you
Yeah.
can, go for it.
Yeah, that's sleeping in.
If you can, why wouldn't you try?
Will your dog Milo allow that?
Yeah.
Really?
He will.
He sleeps in too.
Yes, he does. He loves to sleep.
Really?
Now, my cats love to sleep also on me.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, so I love it.
You got
But
all
it's
sweaty.
it does make you hot.
Of course it does.
It makes you hot, and sometimes it causes you to have like a little cramp because when the cat's there, and I love the cat so much, either one of them, that I don't want to turn over. So in my sleep, I'm trying to stay in my current situation, so I don't bother
You're
the
trying
cat.
to please the cat?
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Let's go, my friend. The comfort's on this
That's
end,
what I'm
not on
doing.
that.
That's what I'm doing. I'm telling you.
Well, aren't you the good pet owner?
Yeah,
Very
that's
nice.
how I am.
You
I
win
don't know
awards.
what to say.
All right. Well, anyway, what time is it?
It's time for me to tell you, John
Tell me
and
what?
Christy,
Yeah.
your weekend has begun.
Fabulous. Woo, indeed. 7 minutes
who's
past
that
the 4
guy?
o'clock hour. I don't know.
Woohoo! He
Just
says.
some guys. Yeah, it's very nice.
I like 'em.
A light round of applause for the weekend.
Very light.
Very nice. Anyway,
Very light, because I got too tired after last night.
don't bring up last night.
Okay, we won't bring it up.
We'll talk about it at some point, I guess.
Okay, maybe.
Want to talk about it?
No, we're not going to talk about it now.
All right. As we always do, Kath looks at the day's headlines. So please, Kath, without further ado, the top 4 at 4.
It's a Friday.
What?
It's December 10th, 2021. You ready for number 1?
Please.
All right, I'm giving it to you. Number 1. Consumer prices, John, continuing to climb, causing new pain for Americans' pocketbooks as inflation tightens its grip on the economy and hobbles the post-pandemic recovery, so says ABC News today. Over the last 12 months, the index climbed some 6.8%, which marked the largest 12-month increase in 40 years. That's painful.
Very.
Policymakers, including Fed Chair Jerome Powell in recent weeks, have also, sadly, began walking back their assurances that it's likely a temporary post-pandemic blip.
Yeah. It's nothing temporary about this.
Some of the largest contributors to soaring prices were increases in prices for gas, shelter, food, used and new vehicles and trucks, which we know all too well, don't we?
Yeah, I've been shopping.
Number 2. A Delta Airlines flight made an unscheduled landing in Oklahoma City last evening after a passenger allegedly assaulted a flight attendant and an air marshal. The police said the suspect was taken into custody.
How'd that go?
Which is the nicest way I can put what happened to this
Assaulting
man.
an air marshal.
CBS News reports that the plane took off from Reagan International Airport in D.C. en route to LAX when it was forced to land in Oklahoma at 9:35. According to TSA, the passenger appeared to be intoxicated and became, quote, a security concern. The air marshal was able to detain the suspect. You want to know what that means? That was something to see. It's not clear whether the flight attendant was injured. The flight then continued on to LAX.
Good gravy.
Delta issued a statement saying it applauds the quick action and professionalism of the crew and the federal air marshals.
People would say coffee, tea, handcuffs. Yes, please.
Oh, number 3. I said I wouldn't, but then I will. For the second time in 3 weeks, former Pittsburgh Steelers are ripping the current team after whatever that was that happened last night. According to the Trib, Ryan Clark had the most blistering take of all. Speaking on ESPN's Get Up this morning, less than 12 hours after the 36-28 debacle, Clark tore into Steeler receiver Chase Claypool, and of course, the whole team. This is what Clark said, quote, "That's what's wrong with the team." This is a portion of his 2-minute rant. No accountability, no thumbs pointed inward at me by any players to say I am the reason. Brett Kiesel also weighed in, was poking fun of players' affinities for TikTok instead of knowing what they're doing on the playing field, which was evidence in the first half of last night's game. And I think that should be it. Really, do we need to say anything else?
No, we don't.
Okay.
The less, the better.
Number 4. The Heisman Trophy presentation is tomorrow evening in New York City. The candidates are Bryce Young, quarterback of Alabama, Aiden Hutchinson, a defensive end from Michigan, C.J. Stroud, quarterback of OSU, and our very own Kenny Pickett, quarterback at Pitt. You can watch it Saturday night, 8 p.m.
It feels as though Bryce Young is a lock, right?
I know,
Yeah.
and I hate that.
That's okay.
I hate that we know. Anyway, that's your top 4 at 4.
All right, so what about Kenny Pickett
Like
saying,
when we, what?
I may not play in the bowl game?
Yeah.
Come on.
What? His offensive coordinator's gone.
So,
Well, so he doesn't even know who's going to be calling his place.
I don't know.
I understand why he would not want to play. I'm not saying that I would not be very sad if he didn't.
Yep.
Because that's what the fans want to see.
Sure.
And that's what the fans have been beside them the whole time and for about 40 years of losing.
All the more reason to play.
So it'd be really nice for him to play.
Yes.
But I think it's a big deal when your offensive coordinator leaves.
I get that as well.
So, but will you watch the Heisman? It's very awkward.
What time? What time?
8 p.m. You won't watch it. It's awkward. You should see it. It's
Tomorrow
it's
night.
painful
I've
to
watched
watch.
before.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night?
Uh-huh.
8
I
p.m.
like to see what people are wearing.
Oh, yeah.
And
always.
it's a small room.
Mm-hmm.
People are kind of shoved in there, although I don't know what they'll do for COVID. I don't know if they'll be like,
right,
it'll be a
'cause-
bigger room or whatever. It's people are trying to like treat each other specially and be professional, but not everybody, of course, will be able to do that. And so there'll be missteps and misspeaks.
Sure.
And it's really, and of course, the 3 people who aren't going to win, it's going to be like the Academy Awards, and there'll be pleasant clap.
that hurts.
And they'll just hate every
Right,
minute
of
of
course,
it.
yeah, yeah.
And everybody's there already knows who's going to win, which I hate.
Right. Yeah. It takes the suspense away. But, it's the coolest award. The
Isn't it?
look. Isn't it? It's fabulous. I wonder, so will people be wearing masks? Will they,
Oh, yeah.
Will they put a mask on the little trophy?
They're going to put
Which
a
they
mask
should. That'd be
on
kind of cool,
Heisman.
wouldn't it?
They are going
Okay.
to.
Just for PC.
I wonder if the candidates will have to wear masks.
Probably.
Probably. It's probably like even if
Maybe they'll
even
be
if
like
they're like quadruple vaccinated, they have to wear a mask so that
it's the Heisman plexiglass special, right?
Seriously, I wonder if they'll like cut. Maybe it's just going to be players and their parents or something in the room.
Maybe it'll just be Zoom Heisman.
Oh, that'd be terrible.
Was it
It's
last
not.
year Zoom?
I don't remember. I didn't care last year because Kenny Pickett wasn't in there,
Right.
but I cared now.
All right. Let us
Anyway,
take a quick break.
Let us.
When we do come back, Charlie Brown, the Charlie Brown Christmas show, right? 55 years, 56 years ago, it premiered primetime CBS. We'll talk about that next. Before the internet, before cable television, before the splintering of media, there was a time in this country when 3 networks and your daily newspaper was the extent of all your information. So in many ways, it's hard to overstate the significance of Charles Schulz and the daily comic strip Peanuts. You know them, Charlie Brown, Lucy, Snoopy, and the gang. In 1965, some 56 years ago, a network special, a Christmas special, became part of the American landscape, a Charlie Brown Christmas. Notably for many wonderful things, but here's a clip of what we're going to talk about in just a few minutes.
To talk about something in this beautiful segment that maybe you've never noticed before, we're happy to have Jason Sorosky with us. Jason's a writer, a musician, worship pastor, classroom teacher. He also homeschools his family of 5. Currently resides in Houston, Texas. Jason, we're happy you're here.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's our pleasure, Jason. So you
It's
wrote
so
an article.
sweet. I can't stand. I just love to listen to it every time,
The
Jason.
clip itself, yeah. And Jason, you wrote a piece about this where you look at Linus and a particular thing that set things in motion. Tell us about this.
I did, and yeah, like you were saying, you know, it's amazing how something as simple as a cartoon can have such an impact. You know, just the fact that, you know, it's been something that we cherish and want to watch for over 50 years now, that it's just made such an impact. Everybody knows what it is. Everyone's familiar with it. And when I was in the 1st grade, we did a school play. And as I say in the article, you know, I was chosen to play Linus because I already had a blanket and I was kind of a bookworm. So I'm like, oh, King James Bible is cool. I'll read that. And so it was a fun thing. I wanted to be Snoopy, but I got Linus instead, which it worked out. It worked out. But and so, you know, I always watch the show with my kids every year. And, you know, in the clip you just played, I noticed that, you know, when Linus says, "Fear not, for behold, I bring good tidings of great joy," that he drops the blanket. And I'm like, you know, I've watched this my whole life. I've never noticed that. And so I went.
Jason? We lost Jason.
Oh, we did lose Jason. Huh. Let's try this again, because he was just about to make the most important point, wasn't he?
Jace, you there? Jace?
No. Huh.
Chris, do you think you could effort him back?
All right. Well, should we take a break? Because this is the narrative, isn't it? No?
You know what? I don't think we should, because we've got something to do at the bottom of the hour.
Okay, you're right about it. All right. So that moment, right, when Linus...
Okay, so first off, conservatively, how many times do you think...
Yeah. Conservatively, how many times?
How many times do you think you've seen that?
Boy, that's hard to say.
I mean, let's see. I mean, I bet I've seen it 40 times.
Really?
Yeah.
40 times total? No, I've not seen it that many times. Maybe...
I mean, not the whole special, but
yeah,
that clip?
That clip, yeah. Yeah, I've seen it a lot.
Okay.
Right? Very, very familiar with it. Do you remember the first time you watched it as a kid? Did it make any impression on you, that? Or was it just about the sweetness of the, you know, the Christmas tree and Charlie Brown?
I don't remember the first time I saw it, but I remember that the number one thing I loved was his voice.
Linus's voice.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
But never did I notice until I read Jason's piece today that he dropped his blanket.
Yeah. Jason's back with us. Hey, Jason, we just had a little blip there, but you were just about to make the point that as you watch it, and you watched it with your kids, you noticed really something significant in Linus's demeanor. He does something, yeah?
Exactly. And as we know from the Peanuts cartoons, Linus always has that blanket. He's always holding onto that blanket and doing things with it, but they can't get him to let go of it. And it's beautiful as Linus is reciting the scripture, and he says, fear not, for behold, I bring good tidings of great joy. He just tosses that blanket. He just drops it. And I was watching that and thought, you know what? I've been watching this for so many years, and I've never noticed that before. Did I really just see that? I went back and watched it again, and I thought, this is so intentional. Charles Schulz clearly put that moment in there for a reason. I mean, it's just too perfect to not be intentional. And so I told the kids about it, and they're like, oh, wow, that's really neat. And I have a little blog that I went and blogged about it, and it was funny. The next morning, I'm like, wow, 500 people have seen this. That's a lot of people. And, and over time, it's now been, the little blog about Linus dropping his blanket has been shared literally millions of times.
No kidding.
And yeah, and it's crazy. And I've had people, write me saying, like, that's so amazing that you saw this moment. And I just think it's so neat that Charles Schulz put that in this TV cartoon that we all love and cherish, and it's just right there, that message of trusting in God and dropping our fears, and how the birth of Christ sets us free, to drop the things that we're so desperately clinging to get us through life, that, Jesus in our life frees us from needing all of that.
That's a wonderful take. It really is. When we were trying to get you back on the show, Jason, after your phone blipped out, I asked John if he could conservatively estimate how many times he's seen that clip. And I said, it has to be 40 for me. I mean, I've seen the show a ton of times, but I've just watched that clip over and over and over again. I never noticed that.
Right.
I know. It really is. It's just one of those little things that, I never caught for years. And then I saw it, and I'm like, wow, that's a cool thing. And it's been so encouraging. It's funny. You sit down and you write a blog. I sat at the kitchen table and just, hit send and set it to the internet. And just how many people have been encouraged by it. I've had so many pastors call me and say, you know what, I'm going to use that for my Christmas Eve sermon because it's just so neat. It's such a fun example. And it is. The fact that it's been right there in front of us for so many years, it makes you appreciate not just that, but so many of the little things that are in our lives. It makes you want to slow down and look and pay attention and see, what is God doing? And not just kind of blow by the familiar like we always tend to do.
Right, and maybe other things that we missed.
Exactly. It does. It makes me definitely want to slow down and kind of look at the little moments and just kind of soak in what God's doing instead of just the usual, okay, we got to get through this, get to the next thing, get to the next thing. Right. And just appreciate, what God's saying to you in small, subtle ways.
Now, Jason, in your studying about this, about the Christmas special itself, A Charlie Brown Christmas, and to read about Charles Schulz, I mean, clearly Charles Schulz had to be a man of strong Christian faith for him to write this episode and then go before the networks and say, this is the story that I want to tell. Now, I'm sure even in 1965, as different as the society was then to now, there may have been a few raised eyebrows.
Right, and there were, and from what I've read about it, because of course now I've dug into it, but it's interesting. There was a lot of things the network didn't like. They thought like, okay, this is getting too preachy. They didn't like using the actual voices of children. They're like, we can't have kids read this; it'll be too hard for them. Really? And just the fact that what I've read is that the network did not want the part where Linus comes out and recites scripture, but Schulz was just adamant, like, no, this is the heart of the show, and this is the meaning of Christmas. That's what I'm trying to get across. So he was definitely adamant that, like, this is going to be in there. And what an impact that decision has made throughout the years. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And the fact that he didn't go at it with a hammer. You know, it wasn't like he was
Exactly.
trying to preach the whole thing and make everybody, feel terrible. It's a subtle thing, but there's just a beauty. It was like a beautiful little, I mean, even Linus, when he says he doesn't make Charlie Brown look like an idiot, that he doesn't know what Christmas is about.
Right. It's done in such a beautiful way. And it's so, I think that's why people are, why we gravitate towards it. It's such a simple presentation of the gospel through the scripture being preached without, like you said, it's not done with a hammer. It's not condescending. It's just, what is Christmas all about? Here's what Christmas is all about.
Yeah.
It's just a simple, straightforward tale straight from scripture. And it's something that we clearly still struggle with. Christmas turns into so many things for so many people that, just culturally don't have anything to do with Christ. It just becomes another stressor. It becomes a frantic time of year. For some people it's depressing, and and the special addresses all of that and just takes it and shows the beauty of the birth of Christ and kind of just brings it back to, this is what Christmas is all about, Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
And it's simple, and it's peaceful, and it's calming. And so I think that's just what makes it such a great special.
Wow. Jason Zarowski, thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much for having me. I enjoyed it.
Love those insights. I love that they've been shared over 1 million times. Isn't that terrific?
Fabulous.
Find out more about Jason at his blog, The Way I See It.
Coming up next, our weekly feature, This or That. It's time now for This or That. It's our weekly delve into the ridiculousness. It's pretty simple. I've got a list. Kath has a list.
Yep.
You make a choice. Okay. Kath,
I'm ready.
okay, you will receive. All right. All right, this or
In
that.
the $25,000 pyramid parlance.
Okay. A cabin in the woods.
Yeah.
A condo downtown.
Oh, I will take the condo downtown.
Would you?
Yes, I
though?
would.
Really?
I'm not a fan of the woods, John.
Great wealth. Great intelligence.
Intelligence.
George Washington. George Clooney.
Well, that's not fair, John.
This or that.
That's not fair.
Why?
Well, because you know how much I love Oh Brother.
I know. One's the president of the country.
Well, now
the
if I
first
say
president.
Clooney, then I'm going to sound like an idiot because I
It's
just
not
wanted.
about sounding.
In the last one, I wanted to be intelligent rather than wealthy.
Well, you know.
Okay, I'll pick Washington. 'cause
Oh,
I feel like
please.
I
Now, what,
have
you're
to.
like bending to some
I have
supposed
to. I have
agenda?
to, you guys.
Wings. Nachos.
I thought we were talking about Paul McCartney and. I'll go nachos, John.
Nice. Flats. Pumps.
Well, it depends on where I'm going. What am I?
This or that.
Well, I mean, if I. Okay, flats, I guess.
Give. Receive.
Well, how am I supposed to pick that?
This or that, Kath.
Okay, I should say give because that's the right thing to say.
I don't want you to perform. I
All
want you to
right.
be from your heart.
Then receive, I want. How about some
Please,
presents,
for the
people?
sake of everything here. It's just a little peek into your
It's
psyche.
just a lot between the Clooney and Washington thing.
Okay. Small group hang. Big party, large group.
Oh, yeah, small group hang. Thank you.
Right side of the bed. Left side of the bed.
Always right.
A sandwich. A wrap.
I don't like wraps.
Oh, I like a wrap.
No, I don't like it. It's just a little dry.
Okay.
I'll go sandwich.
Cardigan. Pullover.
Yeah, I don't like stuff around my neck like a sweater. I can do a turtleneck, but I need to do the cardigan.
Blueberry. Raspberry.
Blueberry, always, every time, 10 out of 10.
The Caribbean. The French Riviera.
Yeah, I'll go for the French Riviera, John.
Peter Nesmith.
Yes.
John Lennon.
Oh, John!
This or that.
Oh! Two of the most overrated bands, for crying out loud. Kenny Woods, I hope you're listening.
Please, stop it.
Okay, I'll pick Peter Nesmith because you know how I feel about Lennon.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
Yeah.
Jack Frost nipping at your heels.
I'll take Jack Frost because he doesn't get enough love.
Oh, holy night. Oh, silent night.
Oh, Holy Night.
Away in a manger. Oh, come, all you faithful.
Come, all you faithful, because the words to Away in the Manger are silly
The holly and the ivy.
when they are full grown.
God rest you, merry gentlemen.
Oh, they're both good. That's good. They're both good. Holly and the Ivy.
Very nice. That's my
That's
this or
good.
that. Thank
That's
you.
good. Those are
Pleasure.
very good. John, I'm giving you today the oh my gosh, it's only 2 weeks till Christmas Eve edition
Oh, I like a theme.
of this or that.
All right.
Number 1, on your tree, white lights or colored lights.
Colored.
Number 2, Biden and Putin or 2 turtle doves.
Oh, 2 turtle doves.
Okay.
Give me the turtle doves.
Number 3, eggnog or anything else.
Yeah. 1,000% times 100 million.
That's gross.
Anything
It's
else.
gross. Who thought that
I'm
up?
not even eating cottage cheese before I had eggnog.
Stand it. Number 4, Matthew's nativity account or Luke's nativity account.
Sure.
This or that, John.
I'm doing Luke.
Are you? Number 5, the Christmas market at PPG downtown or Century 3 Mall.
Minutes from the mall. I'm going downtown
Are you?
with Petula Clark.
Number 6, you, John, never being allowed to join in any reindeer games.
Uh-oh.
Or accepting the Steelers would lose, then being shocked they were coming back, then thrilled they were going to do it, only to have them lose for real at 11:30 p.m.
I like to play games.
I don't
want to suffer through
You-
another evening like that. No. I'll go with the
Yeah, you prefer the reindeer
Yeah,
games?
yeah.
Number 7, Christmas vacation or Yosh and Stan Schmenge's Lutonian Christmas on the dark side of the Balkans.
Yash and Stan from SCTV.
Best.
Eugene Levy, John Candy, forever and ever. Amen.
Oh, aren't the Schmenges?
Yes, the Schmengies. Long live the Schmengs.
Number 8, former President Donald Trump Or Heat Miser.
Heat Miser? What's Heat Miser?
You don't know Heat Miser
No.
from The Year Without Santa Claus?
No, sorry. I don't
You don't know it
I-
either, Christy?
No.
Oh, she knows it. You don't know Heat Miser?
I don't know it. I don't.
They're the same color. That's why I picked them.
Oh, no, sorry.
You better pick
it's
one.
It's default. I'm doing Heat Miser.
All right.
Because it's a mystery.
How could he
I'll
not
go
know
for the
that?
mystery.
Number 9. A Christmas Carol,
Yeah.
starring Bob Nutting. Or A Wonderful Life, starring Chase Claypool.
Ay, 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 ay. I got to change the channel on both those guys.
Okay, pick one. Hurry up.
Chase Claypool.
11 Pipers Piping or the Steeler defense?
11 Pipers any day of the week. Merry Christmas.
101.5 WORD.
Hi, I'm Don Crow. This week in the Christian Outlook, sponsored by the Pepperdine Graduate School of Public Policy, 80 years after the attack on Pearl Harbor, we'll look back.
So here we are, a couple weeks away from Christmas, and people have their lists, and of course, inflation running at an all-time high, and COVID ruining everything again.
Still.
But it's Christmas, and as a parent, boy, every parent wants their kids' Christmas to be special, fun, right, as well as holy. So a lot of us, you get between a rock and a hard place. What's my budget for my kids? I know they want X, and that's a lot. Can I do that? So I think for every marriage or every parent, you think, do I give my kids too much? Now, I was flipping through the web today, and I saw our friend Marty from KDKA, Marty Griffith, who had that posted on his Facebook page. Do you give your kids too much? And it resonates. I think anybody's got, anybody's a parent, you go,
Wait, do I?
yes, all right? You would have to ask that. If you're a parent, I think most parents are thinking that at one time or another. Because too much is not a good thing.
But how do you know what is too much?
How much is too much?
That's the thing.
Well, I think if your kids are older, you tend to see too much. is
What
too
you've created.
Yes.
Well, that's too late then.
Is it?
Yeah, for sure.
If your kid grows up, if your kid has no gratitude, every year you just pile your kid, boom, 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 and you know it's like there's no holds barred. She gets whatever they want. You've created a monster in some way.
Well, is that only happening at Christmas or is that happening all the time?
Well, if it happens at Christmas, it probably happens most of the time, don't you think?
I don't know.
The gate isn't.
Well, look at what your dad did. Your parents didn't have two nickels to rub together, but look at what they did for Christmas.
They blew it out.
So you're not an example of that. You're an example of the fact that they didn't give you guys all that you wanted.
We just knew.
But then you got a lot at Christmas. So it's not the case that if you get a lot at Christmas, you get a lot all the time.
Right. Okay. That's a good point. I mean, and to say, you know, we didn't expect that. You know what I mean? I remember lying in bed with my brother. You know what? We had bunk beds. And, you know, Christmas evening, you know, Christmas night, you go to bed. And my brother and I, we always talked, you know. You're in the same room and you're talking. And you'd think, we'd say, do you think that, do you think that you'll get, well, you know, there was always this speculation, this wonder. That's one of the key things about that, you know, if you believe in Santa, if you put that forward or whatever, right? The joy of Christmas morning is the expectation, and does that expectation, because there are many times, of course, if you're a kid, your expectations were not met.
Right. Expectation is the most fun thing about Christmas.
Oh, anticipation.
But isn't that the case with everything?
Of course, but
it really is.
But it's really clearly.
It really is.
We're 2 weeks out. I mean,
Yeah.
every kid, and I imagine a lot of kids still do this, right? 2 weeks out. From when I was 2 weeks out, you're inflamed.
Right.
Inflamed with the possibility of what might be there. I mean, you know, it's the movie A Christmas Story, and him with his BB gun. That's all the kid could think about, dropping hints left and right, and you know, thinking about it, praying about it, drawing it, talking about it. The anticipation, the expectation that it may be there. You think kids have those things, like that beloved thing that hangs out there?
I think so. But not if, pardon me, they're from the family where they get stuff the whole year. Because then there's nothing that they're really longing for.
No, you can't
that
top
they
it.
haven't gotten. Yeah. The other thing that's hard is that because of international trade and the internet, we have access to so many things so much more cheaply than our parents ever did.
Yeah.
And so you can buy more things for the same amount of money, but they mean less, I think, because there's more of them.
More stuff just equals more stuff.
Right. Right. What about like when you were figuring out how to buy for your boys growing up, did you have a dollar limit
Yes.
that was the same for both?
Yes. We tried to, yeah.
Okay.
And of course, sometimes it'd be like one kid gets two presents. Because you blew it out, but that's what it was. And
Right.
some other, the other kid gets 8. But still,
See, I've never done that.
Oh, haven't
I've
you?
never, but I mean, I'm close, but it's more everybody has the same number of things to open.
oh no, I don't care about that.
Okay. Well, yours way is probably better.
Well, my wife makes it that way. If it was up to me, I'd be like running like crazy person.
Christy, going to bring you into the conversation. Do you feel like when you were growing up, you got too many things?
No. I probably didn't get enough.
Oh, I like that.
I hope her parents are listening.
I hope they are.
She's indicting her parents. That's why there's therapy.
Did you feel that way when you, looking back when you were a kid?
No.
Did you feel like you got too much?
No, I think whatever I got just enough.
Right. Okay. So I think the same thing. So is that so we're not able to look? I mean, what are the chances that the three of us are really reading that accurately?
I don't.
Probably we're just, everybody would say that. Nobody would say, oh yeah, I got too much.
But remember, like, so we had extended family. So I had both grandmothers, I had aunts and uncles. I mean, seriously, it was like there was a hall there. Boom. Okay. And all your Christmas gifts, all the decades, especially, the first 13 years. Do you remember your favorite? See, I mean,
Tie for two.
all those gifts tied for two. You got two.
I have two that are tied.
Yeah, I think I could say tied for two as well.
Would you? Okay.
And the weird thing was, both of those gifts didn't come from my parents.
Really? Who'd they come from?
My gram and my aunt.
Okay.
But and you know what made them like so incredibly special to me is they were like, in my mind as a kid, they were super high end that I think my parents couldn't have approached, and they were totally unexpected. So whenever I opened up the box or the wrapping, I was like, what the heck? It took things like to a whole other level. I like blew you out of the water. To this day, you go, oh my gosh, like the awe of
Right,
the moment.
because it was so shocking.
Yeah.
Okay, what are the two things? Drum roll, please.
Full size G.I. Joe doll.
Nice.
Full size G.I. Joe.
Nice.
G.I. Joe? I got a G.I. Joe? Are you kidding me? I didn't expect a G.I. Joe. And best gift ever. My nan, my dad's mom, gave me a top of the line baseball glove. That up to that point, I had some piece of plastic thing, but she gave me like a Rawlings high end. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, I was like, I get choked up thinking about it now. I could not believe. And then of course you had that. I had that glove probably from the time I was 11 or 12 until I was in my 20s. Somebody stole that when I was in New York City. But it didn't matter. I had that glove. That was like, change your life. That's what how about you?
That's good. My two favorite gifts. I didn't get gifts from my grandparents.
Oh.
My grandparents on my dad's side died when I was really little. What?
She got it.
What? What happened?
Me registering my disappointment.
Oh, what with my grandparents?
Oh.
My other grandparents, there were too many grandkids, and they couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
We just had a lot of grandkids.
I can't believe that our grandparents did that.
Yeah, there was just too many grandkids. But so both of my gifts were from my parents. One was my first boombox I got in 7th grade, along with the cassette tapes, Kenny Rogers' Greatest Hits, Andy Gibb, Flowing River.
Woo!
Okay. Or was it Rivers? Nothing was Flowing River, singular, and Linda Ronstadt and Nelson Riddle.
Nice. Oh, I know that album.
Yep.
That's a good album.
So that was epic. And the other one was the Barbie condominium with the elevator.
Oh, that's high end.
That was a great Christmas.
That's
like,
wait, that's the same Christmas?
No. That was,
right,
no.
holy
They were
smoke.
They were separated by about 5 years.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you for asking. They were really
spoon
great.
at the Emmons house.
Christy?
I love my parents. Let me just say that. We probably live paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
My favorite gift, I'm such a loser. I really am. A little Game Boy Color. It was pink.
And how old were you?
I can't tell you, but I still have it.
What's Game Boy?
No way.
What Game Boy Color?
A little handheld gaming
Of course.
device.
No, that's super cool.
What do you mean I can't tell you? Because you don't remember?
She was
Yeah,
30.
I can't. No.
That's what I was going to say.
No,
I was going to
no.
say, are you embarrassed?
She's
Is that why
30.
you're not telling
Not even
us?
30.
That was your favorite gift.
Favorite gift.
Were you shocked that you got it?
Like, yes.
Yes.
Oh, I
That's how I
love
thought
it.
about the Barbie
Yeah.
condominium, too. I was like,
I'm unworthy.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool. That is super cool.
doesn't Barbie need an elevator?
Yeah,
Yes, she
yes,
does.
she does. Did she have a car?
She
have a
had
car?
a van, but I never had that.
Yeah, that's like,
The van was like,
right.
I don't know. I don't feel like it was too much. I look at my kids, and I don't know how to answer the question. Maybe it's good to ask it though.
Yeah. I mean, have you ever, like, Christmas Day, the day's over, and you and your husband are sitting around and you're talking about the day, and you go, were we too extravagant?
We've never said that. Have you?
No, never.
Okay.
Ever.
And Christy, I bet your parents didn't either.
I wouldn't know.
Were we
Right.
too extravagant? It's very complex, isn't it?
Because giving feels good.
Oh, I love it so much.
And seeing your kids happy, of course, is awesome. I mean, good grief.
Have you seen, I saw this recently, like the YouTube videos of kids losing it when they open up their favorite presents. Have you seen that?
No.
Oh, kids weeping, like tearing off and shrieking with joy, that kind of. And it's non-performative, there's no performance going on. It's just in the moment. It's really wonderful. Good to see kids like over the moon with what they've been
That's
given.
so awesome.
Yeah, it's fabulous. Take a break?
Yeah, we're going to take a break. When we come back, there's a man who's just passed away. You know what he did? He built a cathedral, brick by brick, himself. No, it's not somebody in the Middle Ages. It's somebody who just passed away yesterday.
A cathedral?
I'm not kidding you.
People are amazing. Truly, people are. So an obituary. And I love obituaries because they give you a portal into some incredibly amazing, unique lives. Always when I read an amazing obituary, I think, I wish I would have known this while the guy was alive. The person was alive, right? So in today's New York Times, Justo Gallego, who built a cathedral brick by brick, dies at 96. So he's a former Spanish monk, devoted his life to building a cathedral single-handedly with neither public funding nor support from the Roman Catholic Church. He died at 96 in the very building, the cathedral, that he built from the ground up. The town hall of Maggiore del Campo, where he built his cathedral, said he died in a tiny section of the building that he had turned into his makeshift home. With its sprawling entrance steps, 125-foot tall cupola, and two cloisters flanking it, the edifice, called the Cathedral of Faith on internet maps, dominated the landscape of Maggiore del Campo, rising from farmland that was inherited by Mr. Gallego. As his work progressed, it became a tourist attraction. He started in 1961 building this cathedral. And he believed in recycling in its construction. So rather than spending on new building materials, he used old car tires, bicycle wheels, leftovers from local factories, unwanted bricks that he picked up from other construction sites. He argued that his religious faith and determination made up for his lack of architectural training or engineering skills. His only machinery was a winch to raise stone blocks and planks, and he was unfazed by those who criticized his project of that of an eccentric monk. He said, I'm not building this to get money or fame, just as I'm not here to listen to people decide whether I'm mad or unique, he told the New York Times. I'm fully responsible for my work. I'm not looking for any authorities to have any say. My intention is to praise God. I mean, it's fabulous. I mean, you look at, I'll show you that photograph, Kat.
Yeah, I have it right here,
Oh,
John.
you do?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's amazing.
it is amazing. Seriously, the steps that go out, that lead up to the entrance of the cathedral, I bet you they're massive steps.
Massive steps.
That bend.
It's
They're
so beautiful.
It is beautiful. He was adamant that he be buried in the crypt that he had built within his cathedral, but town officials say they could not respect that wish after finding that the crypt did not meet Spanish sanitary rules. They buried him instead in a local cemetery. I mean,
It's amazing.
It is amazing. People are just very
So it's
cool.
unfinished,
Yeah.
right?
Right. It's unfinished, right? It's one of those, this is one of these projects that will go on.
Right.
Someone will pick up this mantle, no doubt.
It's beautiful.
And it'll happen for, probably another 100 years or so. Someone else's vision copied
It's
on top
amazing.
of
What an amazing story.
that. Yep.
Makes you think of the one in Barcelona, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Sagrada Familia.
Which is, I've been there. I've seen it.
Have you?
Oh, yeah. It's fabulous. It's incredible. It's incredible. I told you, I mean, I love Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I went to Notre Dame. I was blown out by that, by the grotto in Spain. Just unbelievable. And it's still continuing on. Again, it's not finished. Anyway, churches, cathedrals, large or small, I mean, it's rare you go, that's not really a holy place, or that's not really a beautiful space.
Right.
Churches built on the precept of for the glory of God. They transcend time and space. Take a quick break. The 5 o'clock hour of the ride home. From cathedrals to balloon heads. That's next in the 5 o'clock hour. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for coming along today. It's really good to have you with us. It feels like springtime out there, doesn't it?
I love it. And
I do
tomorrow's
too.
going to be a warm day.
Right.
If you don't have your Christmas lights up, tomorrow is perfect for you.
Better have them up by now.
You don't have. Do you have your lights up?
Yes.
Do you?
Yes. Don't, yeah.
No, I don't have any Christmas lights.
Really?
up. No.
Well, you're not going to.
Tomorrow's the perfect. No, tomorrow's the perfect day.
Yeah, it would be the perfect.
Right?
day.
Because a lot of times you're struggling and it's 18 degrees and you're hating yourself.
Been there, of course. There, you know what that's like. Yeah, I was proud because in my neighborhood for many a year, I felt like I was the only person putting Christmas lights up. Mm-hmm. And now there's been a change recently.
Have you been the model that people are
Well,
following?
not really. No. I'm pretty basic.
Christy, we're proud of him, aren't we?
No, I'm just saying.
Very proud.
But
Yeah.
now,
That didn't sound sincere, what she
this-
said.
the most disingenuous
Sad
producer
that she said
we've had here, I believe, over the many years,
Mm-hmm.
Christy. Her sarcasm, I mean, it's very dry, isn't it?
It sure is.
That's why we love her. It's very good. She tells it like it is.
Over the Thanksgiving holiday, I ended up getting sick, and I wasn't sure I had COVID because I couldn't get a test result back because, of course, it was Thanksgiving, and then
Yeah.
it was the day after Thanksgiving, which is a holiday, and then it was the weekend. Anyway, so I had tickets to see the Visual Van Gogh thing,
Oh, yeah, immersive. Van Gogh.
immersive Van Gogh, and I had to not go because I didn't want to give somebody COVID in case I had it. But then I didn't have it. And then I was sad that I'd
course.
blown it off and I gave my ticket to somebody else. But my family went, loved it. You went, John, you and your wife.
Yep.
And something happened today that is super cool that's related.
Yeah, so the immersive Van Gogh thing is still in town, but apparently in Oakland this morning, there was a gigantic 92-foot tall Vincent Van Gogh hot air balloon head floating around the skies. And if you get to see photographs, the PG's picked it up, so is the
It's so
Trib,
awesome.
local blogs. I mean, it's huge. It's a huge rendition. The balloon stopped for just a few hours as it heads across the U.S. on its way. Can you imagine this? The cool job this would be. It's going across country. It'll end up in Los Angeles. Now,
Really?
Yeah. Now, I imagine it's not floating all the way across country. It's probably, they go to major cities, they fire it up, right? And then it floats around for a few hours. They take it down. They go to the next major city, right? It's probably on its way now to Columbus or Cincinnati. It'll find its way across. But it's gigantic.
And it's a promotion for the immersive Van Gogh?
Exactly. Yeah. Sports a red hat, a red beard, and both ears. Because
okay.
otherwise it would be listing.
Right, sure.
Visiting a host of cities to promote the reopening of the original immersive. Now, we went down there, and there's cool. There's photographs of Van Gogh floating around Flagstaff Hill.
I love it, yeah.
Looking
It's
out over the
92
city.
feet tall.
Massive.
Wow.
Have you done a hot air balloon ride?
Never. I'm not really sure I would want to do that.
Up and away.
I hate that song.
That's the Fifth Dimension,
No,
Kath.
I know. I like Marilyn McCoo and Billy Davis Jr. when they're on their own.
What?
But not
You
that.
have the hard and fast rules about
It's
music.
how I am. That band.
Okay, this or that. Beatles, Fifth Dimension.
Fifth Dimension.
Oh, you kidding me? You're crazy.
Sorry, I'm taking
Come
them.
on.
I'm taking them, and I still don't like them,
Jeez.
but I'm taking them.
All right. Anyway, Van Gogh floating around the city.
Yeah. So the balloon is 568 pounds, and it was built over a 6-month period in Bristol, England. Each panel of the nylon balloon hand painted in the Dutch post-impressionist style of Van Gogh's, or Van Gogh, if you're actually
Van Gogh.
in Holland, famous self-portrait, complete with a hat.
Yeah. Anyway, we
Did
went.
you know this was coming?
I did not. So you said it's kind of like the rubber ducky.
I love the rubber ducky on the river.
That was incredible.
Absolute. That was a
Such
real.
joy.
That's a really happy memory for
That
me.
seems like a long time ago.
Yeah.
How long is it? 7, 8 years?
Probably. It
6,
came up
7
on
years?
my
Did it?
however many years ago today.
On your Facebook thing?
Yeah, so it was, but it was a while. I love that. I really love that. But seeing it like from a distance.
Oh, that is
There's a picture in
super
the
cool.
Trib I'm showing John.
The Van Gogh head.
Yeah, of the Van Gogh on Flagstaff Hill. It's just really, really funny.
So you wouldn't go in a hot air balloon? Like they do this, the hot air balloon festival every year in the desert, right? I would love to do that.
Would
It's
you
so
do that?
Oh,
Would
it's so
you do
beautiful.
that?
I
You
would.
do that. You'd
Yeah,
both
yeah,
do that.
yeah.
I don't know if I'd do that.
Really?
I
Remember I went up in the B-52?
mean, there's so, I know that's really,
Right, and Gary made that really funny thing.
which is great. There's not very much you can control.
No,
Not
there
the hot
isn't.
air
No, no. If the yeah. Yeah, I mean, accidents
It's not
have
like
happened.
you can check your altimeter
Right.
or put on the brakes.
No, you just kind of left to your own devices, isn't it?
You're drifting is what you
Right.
are.
But, they've got to have it down to some pseudoscience. They're looking at the weather, the wind conditions.
Well, you're relying on
sort
all
of
that
thing.
science once you get in the basket.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like, you're Orville and Wilbur Wright somewhere in Kitty Hawk. It's a little better odds than that, don't you think?
Do you know that for
think
sure?
so. I think so.
don't know.
It's not like it's balsa wood and some, canvas.
You know what I wish I could have flown in? A dirigible. Like I wish I could go in a blimp now, but like
Unless it was
I
the
am,
Hindenburg.
Yeah, I'm
Oh, the humanity.
Okay, aren't you fascinated by the Hindenburg though?
Yes, of
I think
course.
it's fascinating.
Right. I'd love to. Wouldn't it be cool?
What a crazy idea!
I'd like to sit there and have a little cup of coffee and watch. There's Passaic, New Jersey. There's New York City.
I mean, and what is spectacular failure?
Yeah.
That's something.
I don't mean to laugh. I mean, yeah, but we've all seen the the newsreel countless times
Oh,
in the
my
photograph.
goodness.
Kaboom. Boom. Yeah, aren't you glad that you live in the age of
Jeez.
some sort of industrial standards that are
Something else.
somewhat in line.
I'd like a book about the Hindenburg. I'd like a book that's something I would read over Christmas. Like over Christmas, I like to read things I wouldn't read other times.
yeah, sure.
Like that's the kind of gifts I like to
Right,
give.
right.
So if I got a gift on what happened to the Hindenburg,
The stories of the designer behind it.
I would love
the,
that.
The Art Deco inside,
Yes.
right? The china,
Yeah.
right? The stories of the people that worked there or were on the.
Byron Borger, who's coming up next,
Oh.
I bet could find something like that for me.
I wonder. That's a very
Now,
particular niche.
I'm sure. I'm not saying he'd know it off the top of his head. It's not like that's his beat, but he could find out.
Right. The Hindenburg beat. That's a pretty narrow beat, isn't it?
Very.
Byron Borger is with us from Hearts and Minds Bookstore, Dallastown. Christmas gifts, Christmas book gifts.
Coming
next.
up next.
I mean, we're here. Christmas is basically here, isn't it? I mean, I know it's still Advent, but 2 weeks out?
Yep. Get it moving.
Yeah. If not now, when? Because you don't want to be one of those guys,
Don't be that guy.
it's Christmas Eve and 11:59 and you're running around CVS looking for,
Do not be that guy.
toilet water or something. Heaven help you. Byron Borger is with us. Byron's been with us over the years, owner of Hearts and Minds Bookstore in Dallastown, Pennsylvania. Hey, Byron, welcome back. How you doing?
Hey, it's great to hear from you. I'm one of those guys that shops at the last minute, too, so I get it.
Oh,
So you're going to have a lot of sympathy for people who come to you and say, I can't believe I'm just starting.
I know.
and Byron, the last thing you want to do is give Beth, your wife, a book.
We actually do give books to each other.
I love it.
Just, if I were getting you one, I would go over to the store and I'd get you this one, and we just point to it.
Oh, that's funny.
That is really funny.
And then you
Byron.
both feign surprise. Oh, how thoughtful. Oh, I love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're like out of an O. Henry short story.
I love it.
Very good.
I love it.
Okay, Byron, with 2 weeks away, you've come here to talk to us about great gifts ideas that involve books. So hold forth, please. You've always got really interesting and unusual selections.
Well, look, we often talk about pretty heavy books, serious books, and I think for thinkers and for Christian people that take their faith seriously, books are always tools for discipleship. So you don't have to be embarrassed given a book, and even a serious book. So people could look through our website, look through things we've recommended lately. But what I'd like to do, if you don't mind, is talk about some kids' books. Can we talk about children's
Oh,
books?
I'd love to
Fabulous.
do that.
Yes, always.
I think that there are some wonderful new kids' books. In fact, there was a Christianity Today story just a week ago that mentioned our store about sort of the renaissance of good quality children's literature in the religious book marketplace.
No kidding.
InterVarsity Press, which is one of our favorite publishers, has just launched a new children's book line.
Okay.
And they introduced 3 new books. One is about St. Nicholas. It's called Nicholas the Gift Giver by my friend Ned Bustard.
Oh.
And Ned,
yeah,
the
we know
founder of
Ned.
Square Halo Press, does the artwork in it.
Really?
Okay,
So
Ned.
that is a tremendous book looking at old St. Nicholas, who really was a real saint, in the 2nd or 3rd century. But Ned also did their second book,
What?
which is called The O in Hope. And it is a very artful children's picture book with cut paperwork and stuff. It's very neat. And it's illustrating a poem by Lucy Shaw. And so it's for little kids, but the poem is kind of evocative and lovely. It's called The O in Hope by Lucy Shaw with illustrations by Ned Bustard. So that is a wonderful book that would be good for little kids to introduce them to poetry and art and thinking beautifully about just what it means to have hope in God's world. InterVarsity also did a kids' book in the same sort of picture book style, really well done, by a woman named Ruth Goring, and the illustrations are by Pamela Rice. And it's called Isaiah and the Worry Pack. And it is a story about a little boy named Isaiah, and he has lots of fears and lots of worries when he goes off to school, and he loves his family, he's a good kid, but he just has all these sort of anxieties, and his worries sit in his mind like big, heavy blocks, the story says, and never go away. And so it's inviting him to think through how to trust God and put these worries in your backpack, and how to cope with sort of some of your anxiety and how we can help each other cope with some of the stresses kids have.
Nice.
So Isaiah and the Worry Pack, The O in Hope, and Ned Bustard's Nicholas the Gift Giver are all 3 brand new children's books. Picture book kids for ages 8, 9, 10, and through there, maybe 7, 6, 7, 8, and through there.
Very nice. Okay, great. So as you're speaking, Byron, Kath is diligently taking notes, and she's going to post these selections of yours,
Yep.
put them on our Facebook
Yep.
page, so our listeners can go to our Facebook page, The Ride Home with John and Kathy, and click those and find out more about Hearts and Minds Bookstore as you give us these selections for Christmas, Byron.
You guys are the best. Hey, another thing that's really fun is there's this guy named Louis Giglio. Maybe you've had him on your show.
Yeah,
He does the
we know.
casting conferences. He has 2 books in the past. Now he has a 3rd brand new one on children's devotionals about God and science. The new one is called The Wonder of Creation. So it just looks at stuff like volcanoes and animals and space and, outer space stuff and Earth stuff, or how rainbows happen, and just all kind of curious scientific stuff linked to Bible passages. So it's a Christian daily devotional that a child would use or that a family could use together, but it's discovering that you can learn about God in the study of science.
Doesn't
So
that
it's
look
really,
great?
really cool.
I'm
Yeah,
looking at this
the
right
newest
now
one,
on Good. Boy, it looks fabulous.
The Wonder of Creation's the new one. Yeah, it's really good.
We'll get
Wow. Okay.
Well, have you guys had Andrew Peterson on?
We never have.
He is a folk singer, founded
Sure.
Rabbit Room. He's going to be at Lancaster at a conference on Tolkien coming up in February. Just a wonderful guy. But his claim to fame lately has been this 4-part saga of sort of fantasy stories for older elementary kids called the Wing Feather Saga.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about this. A lot of people I know really like it. What do you think, Byron?
Oh, they're so well written. They're full of adventure. They're not sissy stuff. I mean, they're full of adventure, and even boys like them. Like you would Narnia or Tolkien for elementary kids. So it's not real sophisticated. It's kind of funny and witty, and it teaches courage and trust and faith. There's a Christian message of sorts, kind of between the lines. It's not real preachy. But the first one is called "On the Edge of the Dark Sea of Darkness." And the next one is called North or the Eden. And then the Monsters of the Hollows. And the last one is called The Warden of the Wolf King. There are 4 hardbacks, and you can now get them in a box set. So it's really neat. And they make great gifts for our kids, even for people that aren't super religious. They're tales that make a difference and that tell a story, and wildly imaginative, just a little bit irreverent. It's pretty neat.
And for what age, Byron?
I would say older elementary.
Okay, very nice.
They're not like Tolkien for older readers, but the second, third to read out loud or to read themselves, maybe fourth, fifth, and through there.
Very nice. Andrew Peterson, I know Andrew Peterson because years and years ago, he came to Pittsburgh and brought Behold the Lamb of God, which is his annual Advent Christmas presentation. It's just off the charts. Every year I wish he would come back, but it's not happened yet.
Well, you can come out to Lancaster to hear him in February at this Tolkien conference where he's not only going to speak, but he's going to do a concert in the evening.
Fabulous.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Byron Berger's with us, Hearts and Minds Bookstore, Dallastown, PA. We're talking about great books to give to kids for Christmas. I'm posting each one of these on our Facebook page, The Ride Home with John and Kathy, if you'd like to check that out later. Byron, keep going.
The Radical Book for Kids by a guy named Champ Thornton. With a name like Champ, he had to be a kids writer.
Yeah.
Champ Thornton, the subtitle is Exploring the Roots and Shoots of Faith. It's a little expensive. It would make a great gift. It is essentially theology for elementary age kids. It's not for little kids. You could even give this to younger teenagers, like middle school, junior high even. The graphics are outstanding. The look is cool. It's kind of whimsical and funny and clever, and it looks at Bible, at church history, at theology, at everything you sort of need to know about the deepest roots. And then the shoots, where it goes, the fruit that it bears. Great handbook of Christianity for young disciples of
That
Jesus.
sounds fun.
Byron, I love so much that you're trying to help us with kid selections because, when you look at the YA section at Barnes & Nobles or Amazon or whatnot, I mean, young adults, that's really turned a corner here in recent years, hasn't it?
It really, really has. It's a huge area, and increasingly, and I understand this, a little of it's good, but increasingly the YA stuff is getting a little raunchy, a little dark.
Yeah.
They're trying to deal with the issues of the day, as well we should.
Sure.
Racism and all those kind of things. But some of the YA stuff, for some conservative Christian parents, they're going to be a little discerning about what's out there these days. There's great YA books, but there's also just some pretty odd stuff out there, too.
All right, keep going, Byron.
Do we have time to do a couple adult ones?
Oh, yeah, we
Sure.
got time. Yeah, go, hold forth here.
Well, I think for a gift idea, prayer books or Bibles are always a nice gift if the people would be open to it. And I think for a lovely gift, one of the greatest things you could give is a 2-volume set. I mentioned Ned Bustard. He did the artwork for 2 leather-bound hardback prayer books called Every Moment Holy. There's Volume 1 and Volume 2. We maybe have talked about these before.
I talked to you about them at Jubilee a couple years ago because they are really beautiful.
Beautiful prayers for ordinary life, for watching movies, for buying gifts, for starting a campfire, for fixing your broken toilet. I mean, you name it. There's all kind of everyday prayers and litanies, even that couples can read together before a meal, before bedtime. Just beautiful stuff. Every Moment Holy. The second one, which is a handsome tan leather cover, is on death and grief and hope. So when you're sick or when you're dying or when you're ministering to others or when you're sad, when there's laments about sad things that have happened in our culture. I mean, it's across the board, so lament and grief. So the first one is Every Moment Holy about daily prayers, and the second one is sort of grief and sad prayers. Ned did the illustrations, woodcuts. They're just great, but they're a little pricey. We have them at 20% off. They come with ribbon markers. They're very, very nice, and 1 or 2 of those together would make a great gift. Hey, we just got in yesterday a new prayer book from Crossway Publishing. It's called Be Thou My Vision, and with that name, you know it's got to be Celtic. It's a liturgy for daily worship, like you would use the Book of Common Prayer or something for people that want that sort of liturgical rhythm with a prayer and a collect and a reading and a psalm. And it has all this Celtic illumination. It comes slip-cased. It's a glorious-looking book. It was put together by Jonathan Gibson, who's got to be Celtic, from Ireland. It follows this sort of 31-day liturgical guide with a call to worship and all that sort of stuff. It is fairly reformed in its orientation. Not that would matter to most people. It's solid biblical stuff.
Yeah.
But it does have some links in the back to the Westminster Confession and some of the Heidelberg Confession, and you can read excerpts of some of these classic old Presbyterian documents, from Scotland and Ireland.
Fabulous.
So pretty cool. Be Thou My Vision by Jonathan Gibson.
Excellent. Sounds great. Yeah, we got time, Byron. Keep going.
Well, I mentioned Bibles. Maybe somebody would want to email us because buying a Bible is like buying a car. But,
It sure
there are
is.
study Bibles, different sizes, different shapes. There's the NIV Study Bible. It's full-color pictures now. There's one called God's Justice Study Bible, and every book of the Bible, the notes were done by people from different countries. So you can see what brothers and sisters in Sri Lanka or China or South Africa or Scandinavia or in the United States have to say about certain books of the Bible. A few friends of ours, like Andy Crouch, have done one of the books of the Bible. So different folks throughout the world with an emphasis of making a difference in society. It's not unfaithful or weird. It's just good, solid biblical notes highlighting God's justice. So great in the NIV. You can get it in hardback or leather. Speaking of justice servants, Jimmy Carter, who was a Sunday school teacher all through his years of being in the White House, just did a study Bible. It's called the Simple Faith Study Bible.
Really?
And it has Jimmy Carter's Sunday school notes all scattered through his life of being a Baptist Sunday school teacher. It's in the new RSV translation.
That's cool.
Comes in hardback or a beautiful leather. The Simple Faith. The subtitle is Following Jesus into a Life of Peace, Compassion, and Wholeness. Isn't that cool?
I love it
That's
so
really
much.
cool.
Fabulous. Hey, we need to step away for just a minute. Byron Borger is with us from Hearts and Mind Bookstore in Dallastown, Pennsylvania. And as Byron is giving gift suggestions for little kids and for young adults and for adults as well, Kath is typing furiously and finding links from Hearts and Minds to put on our Facebook page, The Ride Home with John and Kathy. So if you're looking for someone on your list for Christmas who loves books or is new to reading and new to books, especially with a Christian theological bent, we suggest this. But stick around. Byron, you can stay with us for a little bit as well, can't you?
I sure can.
Christmas 2 weeks ago away, thinking about, that list. Listen, books are fabulous. There's so many incredibly people who are writing prayerful stories and hymns and just... Byron Borger's with us from Hearts and Minds Bookstore. It's in Dallastown, Pennsylvania. I'll tell you, Byron, he knows books. And this is not Amazon. It's not Barnes & Noble. These are Byron and Beth, who own Hearts and Minds. These are people who know the Word. These are believers, and they are deeply connected with Christian book publishing. So Byron's a lifelong reader, as you might imagine, owning a bookstore. So these suggestions go hand in hand with where we are as people of the Word. So we're happy always to spotlight Hearts and Minds. And Byron, you gave us some great suggestions for little kids. Then you went into some Bibles and worship material. Let's continue on. Where are you now?
Okay, I want to tell you about one more Bible, I think, that I got to tell you. One of the great study Bibles is the ESV Study Bible. That's the English Standard Version.
Mm-hmm.
Has some elegance and dignity, a little fairly conservative in its language, but the notes are really thorough. But it's just so big. If you really want to give a good gift, man, it's huge. But what they just published just a couple of weeks ago is what they're calling the ESV Concise Study Bible. So it's the ESV Study Bible, but they took some of the notes out to make it a little more concise, a little less cumbersome. So if you're afraid to give a study Bible to somebody and you think the notes will overwhelm them, and you want one that has good, solid notes, but just not quite as much overwhelming content, maps, and everything, the Concise Study Bible comes in hardback or leather, but it's a really nice kind of book size, gift size thing without being quite so cumbersome. So we're sort of glad for that. It's a concise study Bible from the ESV.
Wonderful.
Byron, what I keep forgetting what they're called. Oh, like the reader's editions of the Bible. Can you talk about those?
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting. I was actually going to say that. I have it in my notes.
Oh, really?
I think that's a real special present because some people that are Bible readers already have Bibles, but they're looking for something just a little different to help them.
Right.
The Reader's Edition takes out the verse numbers. It reads like a novel or like a letter. Paul wrote these letters. Just the other day in our Wednesday night Bible study, we were looking at a passage in the beginning of one chapter, and we realized it was like absolutely referring to the last verse in the previous chapter. And then somebody said, oh, by the way, these chapter 2 and chapter 3 weren't in the original. So you're reading the original like a story, like history, or the poetry, like poetry.
Yeah.
So they take the numbers out, and it's single column instead of double column. There's no footnotes. The visual emphasis on the page, you can sit down just like you're reading a novel. And it makes the reading experience perhaps a little more enjoyable in that sense.
Wonderful. Fabulous. Byron, we have time for maybe two more titles or so.
Okay, here's a gift book. Just if you want to get something that's sort of precious and special, there's a brand new book called The Bread of Life, savoring the all-satisfying goodness of Jesus through the art of bread making.
Oh.
It has one of these gorgeous pictures like you'd see on nice cookbooks, a nice hardback photograph of a basket full of bread that's really engraved nicely, a really classy thing. It's by Abigail Dodds. It's a hardback.
How do you spell her last name, Byron?
Dodds.
All right.
Abigail Dodds, published by Crossway, Bread of Life. What a great gift. I have full-color pictures. It's really, really nice.
Fabulous.
Okay, I'm looking at this on Goodreads right now just so I can... It's such a beautiful cover. Oh, my gosh.
Really, The Bread of Life.
Yeah, it's just called Bread of Life, no the in it, by Abigail Dodds.
Quality of a nice book. When you give somebody a book that is well-made, not just the content, but the actual holding of the text and the page quality, it does make for a really nice gift. Another one that does that for me is called Symphony of Salvation. It's by our old friend Eugene Peterson. Mm-hmm. And what they did is they took the introductions to each book of the Bible from the Message. And if you read the Message in most editions, not every edition, but most editions, they have these nice one-page summaries of what's going on in that book of the Bible. And they are the best. They really do set you up for what you're supposed to understand in Chronicles or Galatians or whatever. They took all of those introductions to each book of the Bible, put them in one volume. There's a paperback edition called The Invitation, And then there's this hardback edition that has full-color pictures and graphics and pull quotes on glossy paper. It's called The Symphony of Salvation, a 60-day devotional journey through the books of the Bible. It's not exactly a devotional. It's just a summary of each book of the Bible from Eugene Peterson, arranged. You could read it straight through one a day and get a summary of every book of the Bible in 60 days.
Outstanding. Byron Borger from Hearts and Minds Bookstore in Dallastown, Pennsylvania. Kath is working along with Byron as Byron talks about these wonderful picks for Christmas gifts. You can find these gifts, these picks at our Facebook page, The Ride Home with John and Kathy. Now, Byron, before you leave us, it's important to me that people go and visit Hearts and Minds.
Right.
Now, they can also email you, but give us contact information. People want to know more about Hearts and Minds.
You guys are so kind. It's www.heartsandmindsbooks.com, all plural, heartsandmindsbooks.com. And so read at heartsandmindsbooks.com is my email. Read at heartsandmindsbooks.com, or you can find our website at www.heartsandmindsbooks.com.
Very nice. And we should say, that you do ship as well, right?
Yep. We ship anywhere. We're still having pretty good success getting things out. Media mail's a little slow, but priority mail is 2 days to Pittsburgh. We're out here in central Pennsylvania. Used to live in Pittsburgh, so we know the mail service is not bad out there to Pittsburgh. So we'll get it done.
Fabulous.
Listen, they're fast shippers. Nobody will take better care of you than
Excellent.
Byron Borger.
Byron, listen, we really admire your work. The work that you and Beth do is so seminal
So
to
important.
being part of a Christian community and having those resources, and for you to place those in front of us as you do all these many years that you've had Hearts and Minds, you and Beth. Congratulations to you. It's a great resource that we really admire.
Thank you very much.
Our pleasure. Byron Borger, Hearts and Minds Bookstore, Dallastown, Pennsylvania.
If you think I'll just order it on Amazon, don't.
Don't do that.
Seriously, don't.
Yeah.
Byron will take good care of you. Your things will come wrapped beautifully. You're going to be treated like a person. You're going to appreciate being a customer if you go to Byron Hearts and Minds.
It's been another week. That means it's time for John and Kathy's Week in Review. What was everyone talking about this week?
Omicron.
Yeah. Well, I also say, and I've been talking about this, of course, Christmas is coming, which is a good thing. I love it. I'm thrilled with it.
And the
But-
Steelers stink.
Man, it's okay.
What was a conversation that made you think?
Two things. Lake Thong.
What do you mean two?
Two things.
Okay.
Because I've been thinking about them.
Okay.
Lake Thong was with
Yeah,
us.
that was good.
This
That was
guy's part
really
of a Pulitzer Prize winning photography team at the PG.
Mm-hmm.
He left after decades. Now he's the pastor at the Chinese Christian Church of Oakland.
Pittsburgh Chinese Church of
Pittsburgh, yeah. And people gathering together from different nationalities, different languages. It's super cool. And
Yeah, it
we
was
talked
really
to Charlie Camosi about
Yeah, that was good too.
suicide and the coming, death pods and all that, and
That
the
was
sanctity of life.
That was really good.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, there were two things.
I can't believe you couldn't pick. No, I endorse both of those. Also, I went for 4:35 on Monday where we talked to Carl Truman.
Oh yeah.
About difficult issues on campus. I thought his perspective on how he teaches a class, it was really eye-opening, and it really inspired me.
Yeah.
That he treats people he disagrees with so fairly in his class. He doesn't want to denigrate them because he feels like part of education is that guy I totally disagree with, but we're called to love our enemies, and I want to speak well of him, and I want you to know exactly what he believes and exactly why you shouldn't go along with it.
Yeah. And it's a journey.
It
Education
was really
is.
respectful. I loved it.
Very nice.
What did you eat?
My wife made shepherd's pie
Oh my gosh.
on Sunday.
I love
this
that.
gigantic
Bring
casserole
it.
of shepherd's pie. We ate that Sunday, Monday,
Sure you did.
Tuesday, and Wednesday.
What?
That's all I ate all week long was shepherd's pie. And boy, is it good. And it's all gone. But man, oh man, fabulous, Rhonda June.
What's been a big day for me, John?
Tell me.
Because I believe I had the best waffle of my life this morning.
Wait, now you had a waffle? Yeah, was it yesterday?
No, it wasn't yesterday,
2 days
John.
ago.
It was Wednesday. That was
Oh.
years ago.
You had another waffle?
Listen, my Uncle David took me out this morning, and we went to a place called Waffles in Caffeinated.
What?
We went to the Wexford location, but they have one in Beaver, Southside, and downtown also.
It's a chain?
Can I tell you? It's a local chain.
Yeah.
Can I tell you about the waffle I had?
Please.
It was a waffle, and inside the waffle, baked into the waffle, bacon, green onion, and cheddar cheese.
Get out.
And it's served with sour cream.
Oh, my.
Oh my God, people. It was, I could, and oh, I forgot.
Really?
On top of it, one fried egg.
Man.
It was, I couldn't get over how delicious that was.
Fabulous.
It's so, and the wait staff, so nice.
Okay, what's it called?
Waffles in Caffeinated.
One question. About those pants.
Listen to me.
What did you watch?
The Morning Show. This came on Christie's and Cass' recommendation.
Christy dragged me in first.
I've been obsessed. I watched, my wife and I, we binged season 1. It's incredibly brutal, over the top, heartbreaking.
Not for kids.
Identified with it in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Very weird, but it's a really interesting show. The Morning Show. It's on Apple TV.
Right. And what a statement on our current culture.
Got that right. What about you?
I was so moved by the morning show and so exhausted by it that I decided I had to do something totally different. And so
Yeah.
I did Only Murders in the Building,
Oh.
which is on Hulu with Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez.
How
And
is it?
then I dragged Christy into it. And it is so great. Christy?
I love it.
Oh, my
Really?
gosh. Oh, my gosh.
I watched one episode. I was kind of like, yeah.
Oh, watch more.
Really? All right.
It's the greatest, most unusual combo.
Isn't it?
It's about 3 people who are addicted to the same podcast.
Martin Short, Steve Martin, and
Selena Gomez.
Okay. All right. Good.
What are you reading?
Again, I'm still reading this.
I'm reading the same thing I was reading last week.
I'm reading Advent, The Once and Future Coming of Christ by Fleming Rutledge.
I've never read anything by her.
I love her.
Yeah. I enjoy her on Twitter, so I'm sure that the book
Exactly.
would blow my
She's
mind.
very deep, but very accessible. Excellent. Advent, The Once and Future Coming of Christ.
I'm reading Gilead by Marilyn Robinson.
Are you, though?
I'm about
I'd be curious about that.
20% of the way through.
It's a difficult read.
No, it's not.
Oh, really?
I didn't think it was at all.
Okay,
I
all
thought
right.
it would be.
Yeah.
And then once I got into it, I thought, well, this isn't that
All right,
difficult to read.
okay,
Why
good.
have I been putting it off all this time?
I'm glad to hear that.
It's, as you can imagine, I'm only 20% and I think it's amazing.
Excellent.
I'm also reading for Advent The Irrational Season by Madeline Langle,
Oh.
which has a meditation for each season. So there's one on Advent, there's one on Lent, there's one on New Year's, there's several things.
Mm-hmm.
And the one on Advent, I don't even know what to say about it.
Really?
It's really beautiful.
Excellent.
Really beautiful.
What hacked you off?
Like you, Kath and Christy, I travel on the Parkway back and forth to work every day. I've been doing this the entire time, of course, I've been here. I saw this headline, car crash deaths have surged during COVID-19. Have you been on the Parkway recently? It's like the Autobahn.
Mm-hmm.
What is going on with people? Seriously. It's like all this pent-up aggression is exhibited on the roadway right now. It's wild out there. People are dying on the roads because people just don't care or they're just out of control.
I love football. I've loved football my whole life.
Yeah.
But one thing that is really taking the joy of football away from me are professional athletes that act like idiots on the field. I'm sure we can talk about them off the field too, but just look at, a lot of us watched the Steeler game last night. Like celebrating like you just won the Boston Marathon when you're down 26-7 or whatever that was it's like, it's not only is it embarrassing, which it is, humiliating even, are you that divorced from the game? Are you playing this and you're that divorced from it that you don't realize how preposterous what you're doing is? It just makes me, I feel like I'm more invested in this game than you are if you don't get how dumb that is.
Yeah, I don't get that. It's very weird. It's a really weird disconnect.
Yeah, that's really wrecking it for me.
What was the best news you heard this week?
I read a story about this woman. Her name is Jenny Teckelston. And she, during COVID, was working at home as a banker for a financial institution while also working towards her doctoral degree in business administration. But to make extra money, she was driving an Uber. So she could make the extra money to send back to an orphanage in Ethiopia where she was raised and came to America 20 years ago. She's driving an Uber. A guy gets in her car who's 88 years old. She hit it off with a guy right away. They became like daughter and father. He said to her, "I'm lonely." She said, "Here's my phone number. We live in the same neighborhood. If you need a friend, call me." He took her up on that phone call. She was started to do errands with him. And then after she started doing errands for him, she said, "Let's have dinner together." Then they started to have dinner together every night. And then he said, "I'm having Alzheimer problems." She quit her job and started to take care of him. So her full-time job now is taking care of her new friend on Uber that she's been with now for several months. People are amazing.
That's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
Wow. Mine is much more practical. I've been on staff at a church for a long time, and I have worked the Christmas Eve service for over 20 years. I've never been off on Christmas Eve.
Never.
Well, one time when my parents were very ill, I was not there. But I did all the work leading up to the service,
Sure.
right? Anyway, this year, for the first time, or the second time, if you want to look at it that way,
But the true first time.
somebody, my good friends Sophia, Paul, and David, are going to do the service.
Wow.
And I have Christmas Eve off. I can't even imagine what that would be like.
Living large as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was younger than Christy when I started doing the Christmas Eve service.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I've done it every year. And I'm just absolutely so grateful and really geeked that and it's not that I don't love the Christmas Eve service, but not having to work on Christmas, it's just so wonderful.
Or just the plan, the anxiousness of it all.
Yeah,
You're going to
right.
experience
Right.
it instead of working it.
Yeah.
Congratulations. on
Yeah,
that,
so I'm
guy.
excited about that. Some good news.
And that's John and Kathy's Week in Review.
was a Steeler game last night.
What?
I mean, I'm using game like air quotes.
No, listen. It was horrible. It was exciting. It was football.
It was football, and
They almost won. I couldn't believe it.
it's like some of the best of Ben.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Ben.
just really. I mean,
Ben's a
why?
hero.
I don't understand why can't we do no huddle? Why can't we do that in the first half?
I don't know.
Why
But
don't-
Ben. I mean, every time Ben got
Oh
smashed.
my gosh!
and
The
he got
first half, I thought
crushed.
he's not going to live
Exactly.
to halftime.
I mean,
let alone forget the game.
now, were you saying you think he might come back next year?
When I went back this morning, because I'll be honest with you, at halftime I went to bed. I was flipping through,
Yeah.
looking at the third and fourth quarter, and I thought to myself, if there was ever a performance that shows that he still has it, that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
It's the second half of that game. Plus,
Right.
I mean, the end of the Ravens game was the same thing.
Sure. He's not coming back.
I'm just
You
saying.
kidding me? If you were Ben's
I'm not
wife,
saying he's coming back.
you're Ben's wife. Hey, hon, have a nice day at work, and then you see him getting
Right.
crushed. People just smashing
I'm
his
sure she's
body
thinking,
to the
I
ground.
want him to play another
Please
year.
come home. Please come home in one piece.
Okay, but let's get to our picks. So play the music, please, Christy.
That music is apropos.
That was like the soundtrack to what we saw in the first half.
Yeah.
So our picks last night were terrible. Terrible. I thought the Steelers would win 28-25. John thought they'd win 24-17. Christy, you thought they'd win 21-17. They lost 36-28. We all stink. Okay. So let's look ahead.
We were hoping that they would win.
Let's look ahead. This is supposed to be more than hoping. We're supposed to display some kind of skill level here.
I don't have any.
Pens and Caps. Pens Caps play tonight at 7. Now, the Pens have had a couple days off. I feel like they're going to be really rested. I'm excited about tonight's game. Christy, I'll go with you since you're a huge Pens fan. Tell me what you think is going to happen this evening.
4-3 Pens in overtime.
No way. I said 5-4 Pens in overtime. I
Really?
can't. Okay, John, what'd you say? Pens?
I'll say Pens 3-2.
Okay, Army-Navy game tomorrow. Christy.
24-21 Army.
Okay. John.
17-14 Navy.
Okay, 17-14 Navy. It's gonna be a blowout. Army 40-7.
What?
Who's gonna win the Heisman Trophy? Bryce Young from Alabama, Aiden Hutchinson, Michigan, Kenny Pickett from Pitt, or C.J. Stroud, OSU?
Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Bryce Young.
Yeah, Bryce Young.
Have a great weekend.
Think.
We'll see you Monday, God willing.